Good morning, and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Cincinnati. My name is Reverend Connie Simon. Our urban community welcomes all with love, supports learning and spiritual growth, serves our wider community, and works for justice, equity, and inclusion. We're glad you're here this morning. We begin our service by lighting our chalice, the chosen symbol of our faith, with these words by Sean Neil Barron. We gather together as a community of seekers to honor the interdependence of life, to respect the dignity of all, and to honor the land we walk humbly upon. Friends, let us acknowledge that we walk upon the land inhabited by the Adena, the Ohio Hopewell, and the four ancient cultures, the traditional territories of the Shawnee and the Miami, the original nations of this land who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. We are blessed with a space and opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to live out our dream of a world community of peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together. Blessed be.
We Are Grateful, Ojali Heliga, by Tracy Sorrell, a member of the Cherokee Nation. Illustrated by Frene Lazac. For my family, fellow Cherokee citizens, and children everywhere, Tracy Sorrell. For Tracy Watto, for sharing your story, Frene Lazac. Cherokee people say Ojali Heliga to express gratitude. It is a reminder to celebrate our blessings and reflect on struggles daily, throughout the year, and across the seasons. Oligo Hesdi, fall. When cool breezes blow and leaves fall, we say Ojali Heliga. As shell shakers dance all night around the fire, and burnt cedar's scent drifts upward during the great new moon ceremony. As we clean our houses, wear new clothes, enjoy a feast, and forget old quarrels to welcome the Cherokee New Year. While we collect buckbrush and honeysuckle to weave baskets, to remember our ancestors who suffered hardship and loss on the Trail of Tears, and have hope as our Alisi, Grandma, cradles the newest member of the family and reveals his Cherokee name. Gola, winter. As bears sleep deep and snow blankets the ground, we say, Ojali Helega. While elders share stories and we savor buttery bean bread and steamy hominy soup, when we feed our animal and bird friends, and older children teach the younger ones how to make corn husk dolls and play cane flutes. While we gather to remember an uncle who has passed on, as men cuddle babies and sing traditional lullabies in Jalagi, Cherokee. Gogeyi, spring. When showers fill streams and shoots spring up, we say, Ojali Heliga. While men sing, asking for thunder and lightning's protection of the emerging sprouts that women tend. As we gather wild onions, spring's first food, and serve them with hen's eggs. As we practice patience to sew pucker toe moccasins and coil clay to build beautiful pots. As we plant ani, strawberries, an ancestral story's sweet-smelling reminder not to argue with each other. As we embrace a clan relative heading off to serve our country. Gogi, summer. As the crops mature and the sun scorches, we say, Ojali Heliga. When we grasp our gigs and wade into the cool creek to catch crawdads for supper. As we sink our teeth into the season's first harvest at the green corn ceremony. While we click-clack sticks, chase a small ball and fling it high at the stickball game pole. When we recall the ancestors' sacrifices to preserve our way of life, to celebrate Nulista Nidola, history, and listen to our tribal leaders speak at Cherokee National Holiday. Every day, every season, Ojali Heliga, we are grateful. My wonder question for you today is this: what are you grateful for this year? Share your answer with a family member or friend this week, or during coffee hour after the service.
You are my sister, we were born so innocent, so full of need. There were times we were friends, but times I was so cruel. Each night I'd ask for you to watch me as I sleep. I was so afraid of the night. You seem to move through the places that I feared. You lived inside my world so softly, protected only by the kindness of your nature. You are my sister, and I love you. May all of your dreams come true. You are my sister, and I love you. May all of your dreams come true. Felt so differently then, so similar over the years. The way we laughed, the way we experienced pain. So many memories, but there's nothing left to gain from remembering faces and worlds that no one else will ever know. You are my sister, and I love you. May all of your dreams come true. All of your dreams, all of your dreams come true. I want this for you. They're gonna come. They're gonna come. They're gonna come. They're gonna come. I see them come. They're gonna come.
In 1999, transgender advocate Gwendolyn Ann Smith organized a day of remembrance to honor the life of Rita Hester, a black trans woman who had been killed in Massachusetts the year before. Since then, Transgender Day of Remembrance has become an annual international event on November 20th, in which we say the names of those whose lives were taken the previous year. It is important that we celebrate the souls of those who have been lost. We will say their names again this year and every year until anti-trans violence and transphobia are eliminated from our society and all are able to live their true, authentic lives in peace. On the table before me are 37 candles representing the lives of 37 people who've been lost since the last time we were together and read these names in 2019. Dustin Parker was a white transgender man killed in McAlester, Oklahoma on January 1st, 2020. He was 25 years old. Nulisa Luciano Ruiz, a transgender Latina, was killed in Taubaja, Puerto Rico on February 24th. Yampi Mendez Arocho, a transgender Latino, was killed in Moca, Puerto Rico on March 5th. He was 19. Scott Scotland DeVore, a gender nonconforming person, was killed in Augusta, Georgia. They were 51 years old. Monica Diamond, a black transgender woman, was killed in Charlotte, North Carolina on March 18th, 2020. She was 34 years old. Lexi, a transgender woman, was killed in Harlem, New York on March 28, 2020. She was 33. Johanna Metzger, a white transgender woman, was killed in Baltimore, Maryland on April 11th, 2020. Serena Angelique Velasquez Ramos, a transgender Latina, was killed in Puerto Rico on April 21st. She was killed with Leila Pelez Sanchez. She was 32. Leila Pelez Sanchez, also a transgender Latina, was killed in Puerto Rico on April 21st. She was 21. Penelope Diaz Ramirez, a transgender Latina, was killed in Puerto Rico on April 13th. Nina Pop, a black transgender woman, was killed in Sikeston, Missouri on May 3rd. Hella J. O'Regan, a transgender woman, was killed in San Antonio, Texas on May 6th. She was 20 years old. Tony McDade, a black transgender man, was killed in Tallahassee, Florida on May 27th. Dominique Remy Fells, a black trans woman, was killed in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on June 9th. Rhea Milton, a black trans woman, was killed in Liberty Township, Ohio on June 9th. She was 25. Jane Thompson, a white transgender woman, was killed in Mesa County, Colorado on May 9th. She was 33. Salina Reyes Hernandez, a transgender woman, was killed in Chicago, Illinois on May 31st. She was 37. Brian Egypt Powers, a black transgender person, was killed in Akron, Ohio on June 13th. They were 43. Brayla Stone, a black transgender girl, was killed in Dallas, Texas on June 25th. She was 17. Mercy Mack, a black transgender woman, was killed in Dallas, Texas on June 30th. She was 22. Shaki Peters, a black transgender woman, was killed in Amite City, Louisiana on July 1. She was 32. Bree Black, a black transgender woman, was killed in Pompano Beach, Florida on July 3rd. She was 27. Summer Taylor, a white non-binary person, was killed in Seattle, Washington on July 4th. Marilyn Cazares, a transgender Latina, was killed in Brawley, California. Dior H. Ova, Tiffany Harris, a black transgender woman, was killed in the Bronx. Keisha D. Hardy, a black transgender woman, was killed in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on July 27th. She was 22. Asia Raquel Roan Spears, a black transgender woman, was killed in Portland, Oregon on July 28th. She also went by the name Rocky Roan. Leah Rayshawn Day, a black transgender woman, died in the Cuyahoga County Jail in Cleveland on August 30th. She was 28. Key Sam, a black transgender woman, was killed in Lafayette, Louisiana on August 12th. Ariane Burnett, a black trans woman, was killed in Independence, Missouri on September 19th. Mia Green, a black transgender woman, was killed in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on September 28th. She was 29. Michelle Ramos Vargas, a Puerto Rican transgender woman, was killed in Saint Germain, Puerto Rico on September 30th. She was in her mid-30s. Felicia Harris, a transgender woman, was killed in Augusta, Georgia in October 2020. She was 33. Brooklyn Deshuna, a black transgender woman, was killed in Shreveport, Louisiana on October 7th. She was 20. Sarah Blackwood, a trans woman, was killed in Indianapolis, Indiana on October 11th. Angel Unique, a black transgender woman, was killed in Memphis, Tennessee on October 25th. She was 25 years old. Unieski Carrie Herrera, a 39-year-old transgender Latina, was killed in Miami, Florida, just this past week on November 17th. This is a time when it's heartbreaking to see so many candles on this table, to read so many names yet again this year. I invite you now to join me in a responsive reading by Amy Brooks entitled "We Bear Witness." I know you're not here with me in person, but we can do this remotely. After every line that I speak, say wherever you are, "We bear witness." And I encourage those here in the sanctuary doing technology to speak as well. We people gathered here today on the quest for truth and meaning bear witness to the record of human lives extinguished simply because these people dared to live authentically, to the lives and reported deaths of 37 transgender people so far this year, to the lives and reported deaths of 37 people right here in these United States just so far this year, to the unreported ones, the uncounted ones, the unnamed many whose lives and deaths will only ever be known by the universe. In these times of heightened anxiety, we who are gathered here today reject the teachings of division and ignorance and commit to siding with love against hatred, against close-minded ideologies that excuse evil acts in the name of religion, against any administration that seeks to fuel their rise to power by threatening the lives of transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people, against systemic power structures that treat transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people, particularly those who are people of color, as being anything less than human. On this day, we who are queer folks and queer allies gathered together uphold the first principle that speaks to the inherent worth and dignity of every person. For those transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people who are gathered among us today, for those who are allied to the cause of protecting our transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary siblings, for those who exist boldly, unapologetically in public space as fully authentic transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people. I invite you to speak the names of those that you wish to hold in the light this morning, wherever you are. These remembered deaths have not gone unnoticed by us. Sacred transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary lives do not go unnoticed by us. We bear witness. We honor the joys and sorrows among us in our community and in our larger world since last we were together. Our wishes for good health and for healing go to Lee and to Grady, both of whom are beloved members of this community. We wish you both speedy recoveries from recent illnesses. We lift up with love all who may be ill, alone, isolated, or struggling at this time. Know that you are loved wherever you are. We celebrate some joys this week. For me, I have to celebrate the 48th birthday of my nephew Tim and the 25th birthday of my great-nephew Alexander. I love you both. For those we have named, for those whose names we do not know, and for those whose names are carefully guarded in our hearts, we drop a stone in our water, that it may amplify our joys and wash away our sorrows and give us comfort in our hearts. Please join me now in a moment of silent meditation, reflection, or prayer as we view our flowers this morning, which are from David Johnson and Mary Mark, in celebration of Thanksgiving and as a symbol of the love for family and friends they hold in their hearts, if not in their presence. In support of our congregation and of those beyond these walls, the morning offering will be gratefully received. Giving to First Church is easy. You may text the word GIVE to 513-713-7373. If you have access to our Breeze membership system, you may click Give Now. You may donate online at firstuu.com. Or you can mail a check to 536 Linton Street, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45219. If this is your first time visiting us, we invite you to let the virtual plate pass you by. Your presence is your gift to us. This Thursday is Thanksgiving. The holiday when we overindulge and stuff, for some too much wine, for me too much pie, too much football, or whatever your vice of choice is. We get together with family and friends and we laugh and play games and pull out the old photo albums and just enjoy the warmth of being together. But this is 2020. Our government is a hot mess. Discord and denial continue to be the practice of the day in the current administration. Black and brown people are still being killed by the police at disproportionately higher rates than others. Just this week, another black man, Kenneth Jones, was killed by police in Omaha, Nebraska. We just talked about the Transgender Day of Remembrance. It breaks my heart that every year there are more and more names to be read, and that each of these names represents someone's child, someone's friend, someone's partner. And COVID, still. More than 12 million cases so far, and over 255,000 deaths. More people than the entire population of Buffalo, New York. It's Thanksgiving, when we celebrate the story of the Pilgrims and Native people coming together in joyous celebration and a blending of cultures. But wait, that's not exactly what happened, is it? If you don't know the story of colonization and the mistreatment of indigenous people in America, I recommend that you do some research and learn it. You might start with An Indigenous People's History of the United States by Roxanne Ortiz Dunbar. According to Native writers Munanum James and Maltawan Monroe, National Day of Mourning began in 1970 when a Wampanoag man, Wamsutta Frank James, was asked to speak at a state dinner celebrating the 350th anniversary of the Pilgrim landing. He refused to speak false words in praise of the white man for bringing civilization to us poor heathens. Native people from throughout the Americas came to Plymouth, where they mourned their forebears who had been sold into slavery, burned alive, massacred, cheated, and mistreated since the arrival of the Pilgrims in 1620. And every year since, on the fourth Thursday of November, Native people gather at noon on Coles Hill in Plymouth, Massachusetts, to honor their ancestors and the continuing struggle of indigenous people today. If you are interested, the event is broadcast online and available for you to view. Yeah, it's Thanksgiving. Yay! And here I am, your minister, supposed to be your spiritual cheerleader, and I'm struggling myself with the traditional notion of Thanksgiving this year. The pandemic, the violence, all the things. All the things. Sometimes it feels like it's just too much. And maybe you feel that way too. I have this little drawing by Sark. Her name is Susan Ariel Rainbow Kennedy, and she goes by the name Sark. It's a watercolor with an image of a woman in the center. It's just a little thing. And in a tight circle around the woman are written the words, "If she got really quiet and listened, new parts of her wanted to speak." Outside the words are random splashes of color representing those new parts. That image sits on my desk at home where I can see it at all times. And I look at it whenever I feel spiritually stuck. I stared at it a lot this week. And I got really quiet. And I listened. And a new part of me did want to speak. A new part that reminded me of the importance of gratitude and of finding joy in life, even when the days seem their darkest and times are hard. And that led my mind to go to On Joy and Sorrow from the Prophet by Khalil Gibran. Then a woman said, "Speak to us of joy and sorrow." And he answered, "Your joy is your sorrow unmasked. And the self-same well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is not the lute that soothes your spirit the very wood that was hollowed with knives? When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of you say, joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. Verily, you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. Only when you are empty are you at standstill and balanced. When the treasure keeper lifts you to weigh his gold and his silver, needs must your joy or your sorrow rise or fall. Friends, we're living in a time when we are suspended between our sorrow and our joy, between our fear and our courage, between our lament and our gratitude. As sad as I am that my sister is very ill, and as worried as I am that it is so risky to travel, I am grateful for the opportunity to spend the next week with her and my family. Even though I feel isolated and I miss traveling to see my friends and do my research and attend conferences and tennis tournaments, I am grateful that I have a close circle of people who love me and whom I love fiercely, that I can call and text and Zoom with. Even though this building is closed and the sanctuary before me is basically empty, I'm grateful that we now have the ability to broadcast our services, and in doing so include many who haven't even been able to get into the building physically. They wouldn't be able to join us if we were open. I'm grateful that so many more of us are now familiar with Zoom and other technologies, and that we've continued to find new ways to connect and be together. I'm grateful to be in community with each one of you, and for your phone calls, our texts, and our Zooms, and our occasionally physically distanced, masked outdoor meetings. I know these connections mean a lot to you too. I received several emails of gratitude this week from elders who received the Thanksgiving treats that were distributed by the membership team this week. Even though the meetings never end, the to-do list keeps growing, and the emails and the mail keeps piling up, I'm grateful for every member of the staff and the volunteers who keep this place running. I can't do it alone. None of us could. I am grateful that we are in this shared ministry together. I know there are some out there who are struggling with health and financial and family issues. I'm grateful for the resources at my disposal to assist you. Our world isn't perfect. I wish the violence would end today. I wish the pandemic would go away. I wish the racism and classism and all the other isms would just disappear. And I know that we have so much work to do. I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. Yet, no matter how much I messed up yesterday, I'm grateful for the opportunity to begin again, to try to be a better person every day. I'm grateful for the plants and the animals that feed me and clothe me, and for the water that nourishes me. I'm grateful for the hands that labor in the fields and in the factories and move stuff on the roads and rails to make it convenient for me to access what I want and need. At a time when I know so many have so little, I'm grateful for the resources and privileges I enjoy, even though I'm working at the same time to dismantle those systems of privilege. At a time when so many are suffering, I am grateful for the resilience of the human spirit and for the daily examples we see of those who still manage to serve others when they themselves feel exhausted. At a time when so many are dying, I am grateful for life. I could complain about all the things that are wrong in my life, in this world right now. We all could. It's easier to complain. Dr. Thaddeus Camlin writes that gratitude tends to be hard-earned. When life's complexities converge and we endure a series of painful complications, gratitude may seem like a fool's errand at precisely the time it is needed the most. Especially when we're disappointed about being alone, missing our family, not being able to see the grandkids, it's hard to find reasons to be grateful. It's so hard. And still, let's try it this week. Let's get really quiet and listen and remember that even amid all our troubles, there's always something for which we can be grateful. I was asked to contribute a prayer to the Cincinnati Enquirer this last week. An interfaith Thanksgiving message. I will be joined by a rabbi and imam, a Catholic priest, and a Christian pastor, each of us sharing our message with the greater Cincinnati community. You can read it in the paper this week, but I want to leave you with it first. And I called it, "And Still We Are Grateful." Spirit of life, we have been plagued this year by a tiny yet powerful virus that has ravaged our world, disrupted our daily existence, and taken too many lives. We have been distressed by economic uncertainty, and many of us continue to struggle financially. We have been racked by political divisiveness that has torn apart families and friendships. We have been troubled by racial injustice and prejudice that continues to divide us at a time when we need one another more than ever. We are tired, and still we are grateful. Grateful for the earth that produces the food we eat. Grateful for the hands that grow it, tend it, deliver it, and prepare it. Grateful for the warmth of the sun and shelter from the cold. Grateful for those who work to heal our sickness. Grateful for our families and friends, even though we may find ourselves apart this Thanksgiving. grateful for one another and the opportunity to begin again in love to address our differences and mend our relationships. Grateful for the gift of life itself. We are grateful. Amen. We extinguish our chalice by reading the words that appear on your screen. Together we say, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of hope, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. As we prepare to leave this space, may each of you cultivate, grow, find, share, enjoy the gratitude in your life this week and for all the days to come. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay connected, and know you are loved until we meet again. As we return to our world of service, I'd like to share some announcements with you. Immediately following this broadcast, we will gather on Zoom for a virtual coffee hour. This is an opportunity to meet new friends, catch up with old ones, and just learn a little bit more about our First Church community. If you don't have the Zoom information, or if you have any other questions about First Church, email us at member-care@firstuu.com. Also, this is the last Sunday in November, meaning that we are about to end our month-long Share the Plate for Guest at Your Table, the program of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. You can contribute through tomorrow by giving through text at 513-773-7373. I don't know if that number's right. You can give online at firstuu.com, or you can mail a check to First Unitarian Church of Cincinnati with UUSC in the memo line and send it to 536 Linton Street, Cincinnati, Ohio 45219. Any questions you can send by email to member-care@firstuu.com. Blessings to all of you until we are together again.